Okay, so we will start today in this video. I will be explaining how to configure AWS CLI or local configure local development to work with AWS cloud services using Python platform. So before actually what you can say uh, starting the configuration process, we will be installing Linux platform, Linux OS on our Windows machine. So we will be using WSL command, a Windows subsystem for Linux, and we will be using Ubuntu distribution for our configuration process. So let's begin. I will first install Ubuntu distribution as WSL hyphen hyphen install, then hyphen D start for distribution, and then Ubuntu hyphen 220.04. Okay, so this is the installation command. I'll just press enter to install the Ubuntu OS on our Windows platform. Give the username, enter the password, and then I'll enter the password. Okay, then so Ubuntu is installed on our Windows platform. Okay. Now we are into the Linux platform OS command prompt, and from here onwards we are going to use configure our AWS CLI local development environment for to interact with AWS services. So first we are going to do is, after successful installation of the uh, Linux platform, we are going to install our Python has this configuration, or this local environment will be using Python programming language. So we are going to install PIP package, Python PIP package, and it will also help us to install the AWS CLI client, AWS client, which will interact with the AWS services based on Python platform. So let's install our PIP package through app. Okay, app package sudo app install python 3 python 3 hyphen pip. Okay, so sudo command is the one we are going to use, that will help us to install our python 3 pip uh, and through the app package. Okay, python 3 pip library, the app package. So I'm pressing enter. Okay, the sudo command will ask the password which you created while installing the Linux platform, Linux Ubuntu OS. Okay, so here it is giving that the package is missing or has been obsoleted. So we have to update our apt package through which we are downloading and installing the PIP library, Python 3 PIP library. So we'll update it. So sudo. So whatever you have to update, you have to install anything, you have to use the sudo command. Okay, app get update. So it will update the app package. So it is updating. Once it is updated, then we will be able to download Python API library. Okay, done. So it is done basically. I will install the sudo. With the help of sudo, we will install the Python 3 package Python 3 PIP package, install Python 3 hyphen PIP. Okay, so yes, it's asking me whether I want to continue. I said yes. So it will install Python 3 and uh, the PIP package library as well. Okay, so it's done. Python 3 is installed with PIP library. So along with Python 3, we also have a PIP that will help us to install the AWS CLI based on Python platform PIP. So I will install PIP, install. Now we have PIP with us. We install AWS CLI. Okay, so it is installing the AWS CLI based on Python platform. Done. So we'll exit and again we'll launch our Ubuntu OS platform and then we check the version of the AWS CLI. Okay, so exit again WSL hyphen D hyphen D and then Ubuntu. Okay, hyphen D Ubuntu 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 hyphen 2104. Enter. Okay, so I'm going to home directory change. Okay, so inside we are now after changing the directory we are into home directory and then we will check the AWS version in the sense the CLI version. Okay, so yes, AWS CLI version 1.53.41 based on Python 3.8.10 is available and is successfully AWS CLI successfully installed. Now what we are going to do once the AWS CLI is installed, are going to configure this AWS CLI to a particular user on our AWS cloud. Okay, so in cloud you have users, individual users, and to these users you can have different policies attached to it that can use the AWS services. Now, the root user actually under this root user, this individual users can use the services of the AWS cloud. So we have to attach the policies using the root user to this individual users. Okay, I'll take a separate video on that and I'll explain the types of users, the root user, and how policies are attached and how to create the user. Okay, so we'll use a particular user created in our AWS cloud, and through that we are going to actually interact with the cloud. Okay, so we are now configuring that user on our AWS CLI local, which is locally installed on our platform. Okay, so AWS configure configure. Okay, so it is asking key ID. So when you create a user in AWS services, it gives you a key ID and secret key that will help us to where using those key ID and secret key, we can configure our local development platform to a specific user created in AWS. Okay, so I have that. I created it, and I have that access key ID and secret key in a separate, altogether separate. We will be explaining how to create those users inside AWS. Okay, cloud. So I'll just whatever I have created the user, I'll just use these secret key and access key ID. So once after this video, I will be deleting that user. Okay, so you cannot use my key ID and secret key ID. You have to separately create your own user ID, and that would help you to understand that user you can use for your local development configuration. Okay, so it is asking me default region, which I'm not going to put right now. Then how to format no. Okay, so is configured, AWS CLI is configured to a specific user inside AWS services. Now it will use this user to interact with the AWS services. And to this user, we might have attached some policies, some privileges, and specific services which this user can use. Only those services which are configured or attached to that user, we can use only those services. If any specific services of AWS is not attached or given privilege to that specific user, that services we cannot use. Okay, so this AWS is configured with that particular user. Okay, and now we will check the config files to confirm that whether this configuration is successful or not. AWS alias minus ltr dot AWS. So it is showing us the configuration and the credentials. We will also check the credentials that we have just now entered to configure the AWS CLI with the user. Okay, so cat command AWS slash credential. Okay, enter. So yes, the same credentials which we entered are now visible in our credential directory inside the AWS, just which we configured 2 seconds ago. So we have this with us now. We'll also once it is configured, so we'll check. Uh, okay, so in for this particular user, I have attached S3 bucket policy. So now I can view those S3 buckets. Okay, through my local OS Linux OS platform. The just now we configured it on our local machine, so I can view it those details of those buckets, S3 buckets, which I've attached to the specific user. Okay, which we just now configured on our local machine. So let's check our AWS S3 ls. Ls command is released. So yes, now I can successfully check that two buckets I have, new target and target bucket host. So see, our local environment is interacting with the AWS services, okay, AWS cloud, and that's the reason we can see the buckets, S3 buckets on our local OS or Ubuntu OS. Okay, so now what we are going to do, we are going to configure or create a virtual environment, Python virtual environment for that can help us to write the code and interact with AWS services and for our data engineering project. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a directory, and inside that directory, I will be configuring the virtual environment, Python virtual environment. Okay, so let's start. I'll just So mk dir hyphen p, and I'll give the path where I'm going to create that folder. So this is the path I've created: projects slash data engineering underscore project. Okay, and inside that I'm going to create a folder, AWS project. Okay, so this is the path. This is the path where I'm going to create the my virtual environment. So I'll go up again, and I will just change the directory to go to that particular folder, AWS project. Enter. Okay, now I'm inside the AWS project, and Python 3 was already installed on our system on the Linux platform. So I will also be able to create a virtual environment. So here Python 3 Python 3 was Python 3 pip command we used. You can see above here where it's up somewhere. Okay, see Python 3 pip was installed, so we are going to create our virtual environment based on Python 3 version hyphen n, then VNV. VNV stands for virtual environment, and I'll say DEP, data engineering project. I'll give the name to that virtual environment, DEP. Okay, so, okay, so I'll just press enter. Okay, so it is giving something that okay. So we have to use app package again to install the Python 3.8 version. Then only we can proceed developing or configuring this virtual environment. So what I'll do, also sudo app install Python 3, Python 3.8, Python 3.8, VNV. Okay, so we enter, it will ask the password. Okay, so it is installing our Python 3, 3.8 VNV. Okay, it's done. So again, I will set up the environment for project purpose, Python 3 hyphen m VNV DEP VNV. Okay, it's done. So now we will launch our virtual environment. So let's start. First, we'll see whether with the help of ls command that the installation is done for our development DEP, our virtual environment. Yes, so you can see the virtual environment is there available for us. Okay, so now we are going to start our virtual environment DEP VNV. Okay, slash bin slash activate. Okay, so now we are inside the virtual environment. We have successfully launched our virtual Python virtual environment. Okay, so we can now install the required libraries that will be that will be needed to interact with the AWS platform through our local environment. Okay, using Python language. So PIP, I'll install again some libraries that are required for our data engineering project. Boto3 is a library. The purpose of this library is that it provides the It's an API for AWS services uh, for Python programming languages. Okay, this using this Python language, we need an what we can say library for both of three, so that the Python can work with AWS. Okay, so I'm installing that. Okay, so you can see it is getting installed. PIP installed, both of three is done, and again we'll move to the next part. So if you want to confirm whether Boto 3 is installed, we can launch Python language, and here we can import Boto 3. Just like we import in a library, we import it. If we do not get error, then it is confirmed that the Boto 3 is installed. Okay, so you can see the Boto 3 is installed, we are not getting any kind of error. Otherwise, if Boto 3 was not installed properly, it would have thrown some error. Exit. Okay, again coming back to the virtual environment we created. Okay, so now next part, we are going to install Jupyter library. Okay, so we'll have an IDE, and we can write the program in that IDE. EIP install Jupyter library. Lab. So this will install the Jupyter lab in our virtual environment that we have created. Okay, so done. So Jupyter lab is also installed. We launch our Jupyter lab to see whether it is successfully installed. Lab. Okay, so the Jupyter lab is starting. So we will use this, what you can say, link to launch our Jupyter lab. One second. So you can copy this link, okay, and you can use to see. You can copy paste it in your what you can say. Uh, One second. Okay, so when the Jupyter lab is installed, okay, Jupyter lab is installed. Okay, so this also we can use this link. I'm highlighting the link when after installation. You can use copy paste this link on your web browser, and you can press enter and see to launch your Jupyter lab. So this way you can do create your local development environment. Okay, to work with your AWS services. Okay, and you can write your code on your AWS. So with this, I'm just uh, finally. So here you have the local link to interact with your what you can say Python program through Jupyter Lab. Automatically you'll get, and you can write your code, Python code to interact with AWS. So thank you very much for this time you have given. Okay. I'm stopping the video at this point.